This week on the Wide Weekly. Here's the rundown. April 3rd. Nature Medicine coverage of a gene therapy trial went wide. A single injection restored hearing in all 10 patients, ages 1 to 24. Average improvement from 106 decibels to 52. April 6th. An Orange County pharmacy operator pleaded guilty to $270 million in fraudulent Medi-Cal claims. The program paid out $178 million over 11 months. Repeat fraudster with a 2012 prior conviction. April 8th, the busiest day of the week. We signed Feed the Children as our exclusive national hunger relief partner. Distributed our first on-chain charitable grant. Crossed 20,000 meals funded. We also published The Path to 1 Billion Meals, a 20,000 scenario Monte Carlo model. Base case hits 1 billion meals by June 2033. The same day, Iran announced it will charge $1 per barrel in Bitcoin for oil tanker passage through the Strait of Hormuz. A supertanker faces tolls approaching $2 million. Bitcoin jumped 5% on the news. The same day, the White House Council of Economic Advisors published a 21-page analysis. Banning stablecoin yield would add just $2.1 billion to bank lending, or 0.02% of the loan book, while costing consumers $800 million. The bank's arithmetic was off by 4 orders of magnitude. And the same day, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's Wall Street Journal op-ed "Digital Asset Rules Need Clarity" called on the Senate Banking Committee to send the Clarity Act to the President's desk. April 9th. SEC Chair Paul Atkins, CFTC Chair Michael Selig, former crypto czar David Sachs, and Senator Cynthia Lummis all echoed Bessent. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong reversed course and endorsed the bill after blocking it twice earlier this year. April 10th. The Kansas City Fed deadline passed on Representative Maxine Waters' letter questioning the legal basis for Kraken's limited-purpose master account. The Bank Policy Institute joined the transparency critique. April 11th. Fortune profiled Loyal's LOY002. 2 of 3 FDA gates cleared for what would be the first longevity drug approval in any species. EAT set an all-time high on CoinMarketCap. April 12th. New York City Mayor Mamdani selected La Marqueta in East Harlem as the city's first city-owned grocery store. Sanders walked on stage to Back in Black. Also, this week, CMS issued a quality and safety special alert tying Medicare hospital food to the 2025 through 2030 dietary guidelines. Nicholas Childrens signed the first Florida farm-to-hospital pledge. Meanwhile, 21,000 meals funded and climbing. Eat up 564% in 30 days. Bitmart listing April 28th opens Impact Summer. And Aaron's new book, The New Money Order, is available for pre-order at thenewmoneyorder.com and ships May 9th. Here's all of it. Starting with the build. Feed the Children signed as our exclusive national partner on April 8th. Feed the Children reached 14.9 million people in fiscal year 2025 and distributed $364.7 million in food and essentials across all 50 states and 8 countries. They are now the exclusive recipient of our hunger relief grants. The Impact Exchange crossed 20,000 meals funded at the announcement and kept climbing through the week. Every flow is verified on Base and visible on the live counter at our website. We also published The Path to 1 Billion Meals, a 20,000 scenario Monte Carlo simulation modeling when each of our 5 vesting milestones will trigger. The base case projects 100 million meals by September 2027 and 1 billion meals by June 2033. The model identified centralized exchange listings as the single most sensitive variable, and we built our roadmap around that finding. EAT got listed on CoinMarketCap with the full verified roadmap, tokenomics, team, and vesting schedule. Price is up 564% over 30 days and hit an all-time high of 0.00094777 on April 11th. The official Telegram community is live, with engagement rewards tied to community activity as meals are funded. The first centralized exchange listing opens April 28th on Bitmart, kicking off Impact Summer. 4 more CEX listings follow through the second and third quarters. Now on crypto market structure. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and SEC Chair Paul Atkins publicly pushed the Clarity Act to the President's desk on April 8th and 9th. Bessent published a Wall Street Journal op-ed titled "Digital Asset Rules Need Clarity." Atkins called for future-proofing against rogue regulators. The CFTC chair joined the chorus. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong, who had blocked the bill twice earlier this year, reversed course and endorsed it. The White House Council of Economic Advisors dropped a 21-page analysis on April 8th, showing that banning stablecoin yield would increase bank lending by just $2.1 billion, or 0.02% of total loans. Net welfare cost to consumers, $800 million. The American Bankers Association had argued the number was closer to trillions. The CEA built a model calibrated against Federal Reserve and FDIC data and showed the bank's arithmetic was off by 4 orders of magnitude. Meanwhile, Kraken's limited-purpose Federal Reserve account hit its April 10th deadline for the Kansas City Fed to respond to Representative Maxine Waters. The Bank Policy Institute publicly joined Waters' transparency critique. Fed Vice Chair Michelle Bowman described the account structure as, quote, "a bit of an experiment. Ripple, Anchorage Digital, and Wise are all in line behind Kraken. None of this is new. What's new is the pace. Moving to Iran. Iran will charge oil tankers $1 per barrel in Bitcoin to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. A supertanker carrying 2 million barrels faces tolls approaching $2 million. Bitcoin jumped 5% on the news. Solana and Ethereum followed with gains of 7 and 8%. Iran's National Security Committee codified the fee structure into law in early April. 20% of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas passes through this choke point. The pattern is hard to ignore. The United States is building crypto rails through market structure legislation. A sovereign adversary is using them live for sanctions evasion. Everyone is showing up to claim the same infrastructure from different directions. On California accountability. Paul Richard Randall, age 66, of Orange, pleaded guilty April 6th to submitting nearly $270 million in fraudulent Medi-Cal claims through Monte Vista Pharmacy. The program paid out $178 million over 11 months. Randall exploited Medi-Cal's temporary suspension of prior authorization requirements. He was a repeat fraudster, previously convicted in 2012 for paying doctors up to $20,000 per surgery referral. Meanwhile, the California High-Speed Rail Authority's KPMG conflict investigation remains open. CEO Ian Choudhury returned from leave in March. His fiancée's employment at KPMG, the same firm holding a $24 million contract with the agency he runs, is still under board review. The Federal Railroad Administration terminated $4 billion in federal grants last July. The authority missed its March 2nd statutory deadline for a 2026 business plan. 2 unrelated California accountability files, same week, same pattern. On food policy, the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the CMS Administrator tied hospital food to Medicare funding through a Quality and Safety Special Alert on March 30th. The alert directs hospitals to align menus with the updated dietary guidelines and reduce ultra-processed foods. Nicholas Children's Hospital in Miami became the first to sign the Florida Farm to Hospital Pledge. On the other end of the system, New York City Mayor Mamdani selected La Marqueta in East Harlem as the first of 5 planned city-owned grocery stores. The announcement came April 12th at his 100-day address in Queens. $30 million will renovate the historic 1936 pushcart market. 4 more stores follow across the boroughs by the end of his first term. The federal government is pulling hospital procurement toward whole food. A municipal administration is pulling groceries onto city-owned land. Both moves push against the same consolidated supply chain. On biotech, Loyal's LOI 002 cleared 2 of 3 FDA technical gates for what would be the first longevity drug approval in any species. The STAY study, the largest clinical trial in veterinary medicine, enrolled 1,300 dogs across 70 clinics. Manufacturing is the remaining section. And a single gene therapy injection restored hearing in all 10 patients in a Nature Medicine study published this week. The patients ranged in age from 1 to 24. Average hearing thresholds improved from 106 decibels, the level of a gas-powered lawnmower, to 52 decibels, the level of a normal conversation. A 7-year-old regained nearly full hearing and was having daily conversations with her mother 4 months after treatment. What used to take institutions decades now takes small specialized teams a few years. Bitcoin surged above $71,700 on the Iran news. Solana and Ethereum moved harder in sympathy. The Clarity Act push and the White House yield study moved institutional sentiment in coordinated fashion. Polymarket now prices Clarity Act passage at 59 to 72% likelihood for 2026. EAT price is approximately 0.009034. 30-day gain is 564%. Meals funded crossed 21,000 this week. The all-time high was set April 11th. We are looking for creators, traders, and future EAT card holders who want to be in on the first weeks of Impact Summer. The card launches in the second quarter. The first exchange listing is April 28th on Bitmart. Reply to the email or join the community through our website. On the book. Aaron's new book, The New Money Order, The Business Leader's Guide to Programmable Money, AI Agents, and the Financial System That Replaces Everything You Know, ships May 9th. Pre-order and join the early reader list at thenewmoneyorder.com. The rails are being laid in public. We are on them. That's the Wide Weekly. See you next Sunday.